Do you feel like there's real value in doing something that's worth it? There's got to be something in that nowadays that I think a lot of people are missing.
So by prayer, everything's possible, right? Because we don't know what God's got on his mind unless we ask him. Sometimes we forget the spiritual element, and that's what I tapped into. And here I am now, 61. I've lived a good life, and if I go home early, it's fine.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Patrick Carr Show. I've got a very special guest here with me today. Jeff Richfield, what's going on, man? How are you?
Man, I'm doing great out here in Nashville, and I really am honored to be on your show. I've heard so much good about you and watch your podcast. It's definitely good to have somebody who's leveling up the playing field like you.
For people who haven't met you, though, brother, you were able to build a exciting, successful roofing company in Nashville. Can you kind of give a brief kind of overview of where you came from? And we're going to talk about Roofers United in a few.
So yeah, Music City Roofers, Nashville, Tennessee. What I was doing was I was working for another company. It was a one-man show. And this company, he didn't have insurance and didn't do things right. And I went to my wife one day and I said, honey, I don't know if I feel safe with this guy. My wife said, why don't you just start your own company? And I went to thinking and I thought, Music City is a good place. I wonder if Music City Roofers is available. And sure enough, it was available. Pretty much a one-armed gunslinger, carrying my hammer. Had done some construction in the past. And I love the idea of serving and helping and meeting the pain of people and helping them see that there's another way. Heavily leaning into the spirit side of prayer and just getting the heart of God for, myself and then the industry. A decade later, Music City Roofers, we became a culture in Nashville.
I've got a question for you. You really began this thing over at Music City with, as you said, you were a guy swinging a hammer.
Yeah.
Why do you think you were able to succeed when so many others in Nashville have not been able to? What was it about you during that time that helped you to be successful?
So many things. That's a great question. So first for me, it starts with an anointing for favor. Favor rests on men and women to do things. And there's also timing, right? Timing and favor will give you the unction to be preeminent in your industry. And then, roofing is a blue collar industry. The problem with that is not it's a problem, but it's a lot of times they don't know how to run a multi-million-dollar business, right? They get mixed up in making the quick cash. So then fathers like me can come in and be in access of help. So I just love serving. So the reason why we became so popular and attractive to many sellers, not just one, is not only the culture, but when Fiesel came down to do the interviews, they came after I interviewed all 30 people, and the leaders came up to me and James said, you know what? We had never been in a company where when we interviewed everybody, they all had good things to say about you. Nobody had a diss, nobody had a negative, nobody had any spiel, and it was just delightful to hear a company that treats their people right. So that's what it's about, brother.
I think that's beautiful. One of the things you just said right there is favor rests with those who do things. And, I've talked about this before on my show, Jeff, is that I think there's a lot of young men who watch this show who maybe are frustrated with where they're at in their life or where they're at in their business. But I've said that, the way to solve that problem is by taking action and by doing something today that's going to move you closer to the purpose that you're fashioned to do.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger's latest book, right?
Yeah. And so
be useful.
But I think that a lot of people in roofing, they miss this. I think that we get maybe sometimes we get down on ourselves or we don't have all the answers. So we get paralyzed by indecision. What can you do right now that's going to help bring you closer to that goal or that thing that you're trying to accomplish?
Well,
do
it's
it.
Great.
Take action.
Right. Before the doing, I'll tell you, Patrick, there's one thing that a lot of elements that are missing. And for me, it's prayer. I built my company on prayer. I went on my knees at 4:30 in the morning. I asked my wife, what am I to do with this other company? And believe it or not, I was a day trader before this. I was a mortgage guy before this. I'm literally so tired of getting up at night to trade the Japanese market. I said, honey, I got to do something else. And it was good. I traveled the world. I got investors in a fund. But I was driving down the 40 freeway one day. I'm praying and said, Holy Spirit, show me what to do. I look up and there's a sign. It says, Roofers for Hire. And immediately I heard say, call it. And I called that. You can say it's inspiration. You can say it was a good idea. I give it to God. I caught him up, and then I worked for him for a year. Turns out that was the roofer I escaped from. But that's how I got into the industry.
In the roofing space, I see young maybe get into it. They maybe are knocking doors. And I think at some point along the way, some of them believe that it maybe is beneath them, or they feel less than through the job because it's blue collar, or maybe you're not making as much money as what you think you should be. These guys that are out there that are trying to make it right now,
Yes.
do you feel like there's real value in just getting up in the morning, going out there, building something with your hands? I mean, there's got to be something in that nowadays that I think a lot of people are missing.
Coaching is where it's at. Of course, if you want to be somebody, you have to have a coach to get to where they are and not make the same mistakes. So yes, the value of getting out into the marketplace is extreme. But if you don't have the right tools with you, that spirit, soul, and body can wear out, right? So I train my guys like physical exercise. We go to the YMCA and train together, learning skills about health hacks. If you get a cold or a flu, what to do, right? So I feel like I've lived 3 lifetimes at 61. So through my life, I've just attracted things that help others because it can help myself. I can learn it and give it away. You can learn from coaches out there like Jim Johnson, right?
Yeah.
And so some of the takeaways I've learned from them, we've incorporated into Roofers United.
It's very apparent for anybody that watches, Jeff, that your faith is very important to you. I have a unique question for you about this because I think it's important that people understand how a faith plays a role in your decision making and in Roofers United. The good decisions that you make in your life, how does faith play a role in the decision making that you make within your business and your personal life, as opposed to maybe how your past decisions and maybe your core character, if I want to look at it that way, how that dictates things?
That's powerful. Let's face it, Patrick, we come into the world naked. So what I found is by seeking the mind of God, reading Proverbs every day was a key element of that. There's 31 Proverbs, one a day will give you wisdom. That whole book that Solomon wrote was for us to gain wisdom, instruction, application, insight, and knowledge so they could formulate your day. So literally before I go to bed, I know what I'm going to do the next day, right? I've got the plan. I got my scheduled calendar here. And I have it divided into 4 segments of my life. So what I do is I have it broken down to the daily hours, right? Then in my next list is to-dos in those hours. And then the spiritual application goes with me through the day. It's not like something I remember to do because it's always with me. But then it's the family. Like, what am I doing for my wife? What am I doing for my kids? Practically planning your day to be successful, because we all hate it when we're not productive and we look back and go, I didn't get as much done as I thought I could, right?
Yep.
So planning and work to plan, of course.
I kind of look at it like a bank account, Jeff, where even your relationships, I mean,
Yeah.
You've got to put more into it than you withdraw. And in my opinion, withdrawals are going to be the bad arguments that you get into, or they're going to be, I don't know, the poor decision that you make in your business. You've got to put more good decisions in, and because your account is obviously going to be withdrawn every now and then.
Yeah.
You got to balance it, debit and
Mm-hmm.
credit the account, and make sure that you're monitoring where each one is at in your life. And I like that approach of being able to go in there and go, okay, here are my verticals where I need to be focused on right now so that I can make the best decisions in each one of them that are going to most positively impact me in the moment that I'm in. There are a lot of coaching programs and groups that individual roofers can join.
That's right.
I guess I have to ask, is there something that makes this one very different, or your approach different than maybe what others are doing?
I mean, there are a lot of coaches with proven track records, right? So we've all learned through the process what our expertises are. We fill a hole and a gap where we use the spiritual side where others may not. We really do apply it. We pray for our clients. There's an inner circle membership once you join in. Well, I'll send you a gold coin. Wish I had one with me.
I got one in there. You gave me one. I got one right in there.
There you go, brother. And then a pledge. The pledge right here. The pledge is basically it's something you hang on the wall. It's a pledge of professional membership, a commitment to maintain the core values, respect relationships, take responsibility, provide transparency, go under stewardship, impeccable service, and honor professionalism. So there's more of a culture involved with us too.
So what is the ultimate goal then? Is it to grow the business? Is it to grow the person, their team, their proficiency? Is it to sell, build it to sell? What is the ultimate goal there of Roofers United?
Yes, I believe it is helping you to scale, build, and grow so that when you are ready to exit, you can have a legacy you're proud of. Because I also teach what to do after you sell. Where are you going to put that million, $2 million, $3 million or more, right? How are you going to get tax savings at that right time? How are you going to position yourself as a company and maybe change the actual ownership before you sell so your tax is less than it would be if you didn't? So we create trusts offshore legally, the places that you can have a safe harbor. So my deal now is building that legacy for your grandchildren.
One of the things you just mentioned that I've seen out there is I have seen roofing contractors who have sold their business and they vastly underestimate the cost of their life over the next, let's say, 20 years. They'll
Right.
get a check for 5.5 million and they think, man, I'm going to live the good life for the next 20, 30 years, not understanding how quickly that 5.5 million is going to go to the wayside.
So what do you do with your money after you make it? And I went on a journey, brother, and I traveled the world, and I create a profit center for people's 5 million or whatever it is. And I have a trust attorney and a wealth advisor, and off that is a spokes. And all the spokes are passive Airbnb, cryptocurrencies without a lot of risk, calls and options and puts with people who are skilled at that kind of thing, right? And then safe strategies like annuities and infinity banking.
Okay, so let me play a little bit of devil's advocate here, Jeff, because
Come
I
on.
hear a lot of these things you're talking about with metals and Airbnbs and all the ways that people can invest this money to be able to turn recurring income for them. You might have somebody out there who watches this and says, this is a play for you, Jeff. This is your way. This is Roofers United way of filtering money into Jeff's pocket right here. I say that because Roofers United is a nonprofit. So how do you juggle these two things? Because I want to be open and honest with the audience. I don't mind somebody making money, but
Yeah.
how does this all work as far as what's in the best interest for the roofer?
So I don't want people to make the same mistakes I did. I make it accessible, affordable, in a way that they can get ahead in the game. But we're working for the seller, not the buyer. We want to make sure that he's getting the best options available through the team of 300 PE companies that we know. And we're going to pick the right one for that company so it's a good marriage. Because to tell you the truth, when I first was thinking of selling, I ran into two offers that weren't the right offer. I would have not known that if I didn't have a coach or an advisor, right? I don't use it to manipulate things. I walk in the truth of it, not ashamed of it. And I like to share my God stories and my why so people can learn, so they can press in.
But I've got to think there are contractors out there. If I built a $20 million business, I've got to look at myself and say, you know what, Jeff, I got this thing figured out. I know the roofing space very well. I know my numbers very well. I know my business. I'm growing it. So why do I need a Claudio? Why do I need a Jeff Richfield or a Roofers United if I've been successful in the roofing space and I'm simply looking to say, hey, listen, who's interested in me right now? Because I feel like, hey, you know what? I'm the good looking girl at the ball.
Great question, man. It's because if you go out and do it alone, the company that's going to buy you, they are, they're great, could be a great company, but they are also in it for themselves. And so if you get taken advantage of, like we did on the first offer, then you're going to say, oh my gosh, I didn't have the right coaching, or looking at the past, I should have done this better. So it's the experience is the best teacher, right? And it's through our suffering we learn obedience. So what I learned is if I did it with help, I'm much better place than if I did it alone. You need to have a team with you to go forward, because believe me, they're going to have their team. There's no acquisition cost to get involved, only on the backside. So we build our fee into the deal, not take it from the roofer. And so it's an extremely beneficial system to have 5, 6 people as a team to approach a PE company. Once we have that package all tidied up, bells and whistles, we can present that with the financials in order and say, we believe this is the best company for you because we have a relationship with 300.
Is there a theme that you see among contractors who are looking to sell of something that they overlook? That right now, maybe somebody, if they're watching this, the one thing they could take away, go look at this in your business because it's commonly overlooked.
Yeah, 100%. And I would say there's 2 or 3 critical components. Of course, finances is number one. Going from accrual to cash really was a hit to us. I didn't understand it back then when I got approached. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I can't count this money now. I just got the check. No, that's a liability, actually. That goes into another tank until you finish the job. The second thing is, how is your entity set up? LLC, or is it going to be, is it a corporation or an S corp? These are the sort of things we look at the legal side too, right? Any complaints in the company? How are your reviews? We look at every detail.
I want to ask
The
you.
last thing I was, one
Yes,
last
the
thing,
third
sorry,
thing.
the idea was the idea of your family. Like, do you have sons that want to take over the company? Where are you with your health? I was 60 years old, and I had that stroke, and I was thinking about that. And then the idea of what your legacy is going to be after you sell. What are you going to do with the funds after you make that? And the idea that I'm going to be an instant millionaire, it comes with some hard knocks too. You have to, the more money you have, the more decisions you got to make.
Do you find that there is more value now placed on a roofer that is primarily going to be a retail instead of insurance company? How has that worked out the last 5 years? Have you seen a change there at all?
100%. You got it, man. Hit the nail on the head. There is a shift there that we actually, Feasel just shifted everything this year to retail. I mean, if we sell retail, we want to flip it over to a finance program or a cash program, and they can do what they want with the insurance funds. Many companies are going that way, and honestly, the appeal of that is much favorable than insurance. If they're old school and they want to go that way, they do still do it, but it is leaning into a retail industry more and more. And how does that occur? Well, the guys have to be trained properly. And that's another thing we offer is retail sales training.
So I got to ask you this, as know we're kind of time is winding down right here, but when it comes to Roofers United, you've been able to build something that now is nationwide. Claudio is a great individual, and boy, is he ever passionate about what he does. He loves the business of it. What do you see next, though, for Roofers United? Is it just going to continue to grow and help these people sell their business, or is there another step for you?
So what's on the future for us? Right now, we have about 6 companies we're working with that wanting to go into the sell mode. Another 8 that haven't got to that point yet. A couple of LOIs about to be signed. This is going to be our best year yet. I really believe that. And I'm excited about that we have a good administration that can help us make it possible, right? We have, when you have a righteous ruler in place, the city rejoices. And when you don't, we cry.
My last question for you is, I'm that roofing contractor out there. I got a lot of bravado, which a lot of these guys do. Okay. I work with them all, and you've worked with many of them, I know.
Sure.
And so they may be running a $5 to $7 million business right now. And maybe they know, Jeff, maybe they know some things aren't perfect within their business. But I don't want to call you up because I don't want to expose that side of my business. It's kind of, sometimes it feels a little better just to kind of be ignorant to it and move forward, make my money, and do what I have to do. Can you kind of put their mind at ease a little bit when you've seen this before, right? I mean, this guy needs to get past that fear and contact someone like you.
That's really good, man. That's really good. So, perfect love casts out all fear. I would say that if you have a hesitation to give us a call or take a step, know that I've been in your place too. And I know that everybody wants to save on their taxes, and maybe the numbers are pushed aside so you don't have to pay as much taxes. There's a little bit of leniency when we look at your books. We're not going to say, look at this, man, you didn't pay any taxes. But we're going to give leniency in the fact that we're going to get you to look at that, make a transition, fix what needs to be fixed. We have ways and methods to help you overcome any fear with that. And we're not pressuring you. Nobody's pressuring you from Roofers United. We're here as an asset to help level things up, to come alongside you, put our arm around your shoulder and say, what is the pain point? How can we help make it easier for your life so that you don't have a stroke someday when you're 60, and that you can live a full life to your full potential? And those are the key factors to my new book called Life, Have at It. Those 7 factors that live a fulfilled life.
Life, have at it. I love it.
Yeah.
I think about, I think about what you just said right there. I think that the pain of regret of not making a phone call, or at least being able to talk to you, your team, and Claudio, is going to be far greater than the momentary pain they're going to feel with you overlooking their books and saying, boy, what the heck were you doing right here? Yeah. Okay. You screwed up. All right. We got to move past it right now. And I think some people would do well to give themselves some grace and to say, hey, you know what? I'm probably not the only one that screwed up on taxes, didn't know what I was doing in my books, paid people the wrong way, or maybe I just have gotten this whole thing a little bit wrong. we all are starting from ground zero, as you said.
The roofing business is a lot of proud guys. It's very egotistical driven at times, but humble and a contrite heart, God will no way despise. It's the same with life in the real world. Like humility goes before honor. And then if you can just, walk in that state that, look, I am not perfect. I do need help. Raise your hand, reach out to us. You can call us at, 615-278-0663. That's my number directly. I'm not scared to give it out. Or Jeff@roofersunited.org. You can get a hold of me and we'll just talk man to man, woman to man, and just figure out life.
I think that's a really good place to start from right there. So what we will do, everybody, is we're going to put Jeff's information right in the description along with the bottom of the screen right now. You will see it. Shoot him an email and get in touch with him. If you're a roofing contractor who is interested selling the business or leveling up your life as an individual so that, hey, you know what? You can level up your business. I think it's very clear, Jeff, that you care about the people that you're trying to help. And we appreciate you stopping by. Is there any final words? I always want to leave it up to you, brother.
Yeah, my next mission in life, which is I'm building a house of prayer in Nashville. You can join us Friday mornings from 7 to 8. It's an online prayer we do for the city and for the country. And Making America Great, I made a shirt called Together We Rebuild America. That's really what it is.
And when can the book, where can they find that?
Oh, I'm still writing manuscript on that. It's going to take about 5 months. But my other book's on Amazon.
I'll tell you what, though, when you come out with that book, please come back on the show. We'd love to talk about that. I'd love to get in depth about what you're doing with that book, and I think it's going to be impressive.
When somebody signs up Roofers United, I give them my other book about how I exited the company. So Sign up, get a hold of me, and we'll get you guys a free gift. Everybody, it's Jeff Richfield. It is Roofers United, everyone. We've got all the information. Get in touch with them. Jeff, thank you so much for stopping by, brother. Thank you, Patrick. It's been awesome, man. Take care. Thank you, brother.